at some case studies, evaluation case studies, and talk broadly but also specifically about kind of 5 themes within those studies. We're looking at challenges in terms of evaluation, and we saw quite a lot of that this morning, I think. It's quite a complex, complicated area, looking at the outcomes, the kinds of health and wellbeing outcomes you might be aiming for. We need to be thinking about, so we're going to have a kind of a small group working on that. Also one working on tools, what kind of evaluation tools can we use, what would be suitable, what would be kind of proportionate. You know, you can't be using multi-thousand-pound sophisticated evaluation tools for small £5,000 projects, so there's that to kind of think about as well, you know, what's actually realistic. And I'm also going to look at those 2 sort of perennial kind of problems with any kind of project around engagement, how you actually get to all the people you want to get to, and sustainability. You know, that's never easy, is it? The fund have always asked, how are you going to sustain it? You make something up, knowing in your heart of hearts that's going to be really hard to do. We'll look at that as well. So I'll go through the one of the projects is one that my organisation, Your Backyard, has been developing and delivering. I'll go through that. I'll go through the other 4. I'll do it pretty quickly. I've given you a summary of each one of the evaluations we're going to be talking about on your desk. So if you should have one over there, yeah. So you can see for yourselves. You know, you don't have to take everything in, you know, straight away. That's okay. So you've got those. You'll obviously get a copy of the presentation as well, and then that'll take up roughly about half the workshop. And after that, I really want to focus on getting you to sort of do a bit of work, if you like, or a bit of thinking together in your groups. So what we're going to do is have those kind of those themes I mentioned before, have people thinking about those and doing it in a World Cafe style. So you go around, probably been involved these things before, so you all get a chance to comment on each of the themes. But if you're the last one looking at outcomes, for example, we should only need 2 minutes because most of the things should have been already kind of captured. That way everyone gets a chance to share their experiences. Any projects you've worked on, you can bring literally to the table. And then when we write all that up, we've captured all that, all your kind of knowledge. So hopefully, we'll have to work pretty hard. Apologies for going too fast. I talk fast anyway, so I'll probably just talk even faster. But it's all up there. You've got the evaluation summaries, and you get copies of the presentation. So I've talked about Your Backyard when we this morning. I won't do that again. So just a little bit about the organisations that you come from, if that's okay. Just say who you are, where you're from. That's all right.
Oh, sorry. I was just reading a text from husband about a bumped head.
Bumped head?
Yeah, at school. It's all right.
Right.
Yeah, I'm Michelle Cutler. I'm Senior Technical Officer for Bradford Council. I'm a landscape architect, so we design play spaces, any sort of development in parks or leisure. We get involved.
Right, lovely. Bradford design.
I'm George. I work with Michelle, same department, and it's quite a kind of variety of green spaces and cemeteries.
Yeah,
Cemeteries.
and
Okay.
sports.
Death and dog shed
Yeah.
is the euphemism.
What's that?
Death and dog shed.
Inevitable.
Yeah.
And taxes,
Yeah.
I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're rich.
Bit of indoor leisure as well sometimes.
Right, okay. So is it Ian, yeah?
Yeah, right.
You're a student from Northumbria then, yeah?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we emailed each other a bit.
Yes, we haven't we, yeah.
Yes, so I found out, well, anyway, I'm looking at my PhD, I'm looking at public engagement in town planning and looking at mapping tools online. Online mapping tools like Google Maps and 3D city models, and looking specifically how you can put green space, what people feel and how people view green spaces on the map. So like from a usability perspective, but green space is a theme. So,
Lovely. Great to have you here, Ian. Great to meet you again.
I'm Kathy, I'm a community worker in Bradford.
Bradford.
Yeah. My organisation is very small. I just work 2 days a week on environmental stuff, mainly gardening, litter picking, getting people into parks.
Yeah. Right across Bradford then, yeah?
No,
No?
in one small postcode area, or in BD3.
Right, okay. Right, anyone not from Bradford? Not that I don't love Bradford.
I'm David, head gardener at Custerthorne Park, just to the north-east of Doncaster.
All right, yeah.
64 acre park. Yeah, responsible for volunteers, maintenance of the park,
Yeah.
future projects.
Right. Lovely.
I'm Don Crabtree, Friends of Stanwell Park, community group, registered charity.
I've heard about you. Samuel Park. Looking to you.
Urban Park, previously high crime. My background previously is I'm ex-police, crime reduction was our forte really, and it's been needed in that park. So, we've cured crime.
Yeah. Cured it.
We don't shout about it because we don't want people to see it as a challenge.
Right. I'm doing some work again, a second project in Hill Park in Normanton, right near you, and that'll be referred to Samuel Park as a kind of best practice that I'd like to try and follow.
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of sort of 7-hour work to keep it tidy in all parks on crime reduction. We tend to bring in tools to see what we've done and how we've done it.
Right, very interesting.
I'm Yvonne. I'm a PhD student at the University of Hull, and I'm looking at green spaces and how they affect health and well-being. Essentially, I'm looking mostly at community projects and gardening for well-being.
Right. There's a lot of people working in this field, isn't there? The kind of green spaces impact on health and well-being, loads.
My name's Jane Godfrey. I live in Mullin, and I'm here really to find out a little bit more about physical activity and well-being. So I'm looking at career change, possible masters.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Midlife crisis.
Second one.
Second one, yeah. All right, so crises.
Jenny Fisher, I'm over the designer working for Leeds City Council, so I've come very far. But I do a lot of work in regeneration, being community engaged in green infrastructure, community gardens.
Lovely. Right, so Leeds, Bradford, Mullin, Doncaster. Not bad spread. Or Yorkshire. Right, so the aims of the you know what the aims of the conference are because we went through it this morning. Let's go through that one again. The aims of the workshop I've just mentioned. Looking at these evaluation case studies, and I've not gone through them, 100% rigorously, or scientifically. I've just got a feel for where I think that the good and the bad and where the gaps might be. Hopefully you'll be the same, but I didn't have tons and tons of weeks or time to do that with them. But certainly we'll get an idea as to some common themes. I think you'll see as well will emerge. Eric, how you doing?
Good.
So the first case study is the one that my organisation, Your Backyard. You've got a copy of that on your desk, which we called Healthy Living Parks. Rationale behind it, quite simply, it's about I thought it's quite a catchy strap line, getting people into parks and health into people. In response to recognition that parks were, as you heard from Sean today, were kind of the good times were over, and they were facing some real challenges, and budget cuts and the rest, and also our health, the statistics on our health. I've got a slide, you've seen a few already, which are just pretty horrendous, and it's only going to go in one way. So we thought in a small way we could get more people into parks, do healthy activities. That's two sort of major problems addressed with the same project. We did a pilot project in Halifax, People's Park last year. We're doing another one. There's lots of funding this one. Halifax, it was funded by the CCG. That was a lady who mentioned to me about the proving that less people are going to visit the GP, which I palpably failed to do. And yes, we're doing a follow-up one, learning the lessons of the one in People's Park, and doing that one in Normanton. It's a programme of activities that in response to consultation that we did, extensive consultation, probably spent too much time, unfortunately, consulting with community groups, stakeholder organisations, local authorities, all the rest of them, and probably didn't leave enough time for managing the delivery, but we've kind of learned that lesson now, that the delivery in an outdoor session does need some managing. If you're not there and it rains and all the activity providers just pack up and go home, and the people aren't that keen, aren't that happy. So there was that. We wanted to incorporate a healthy living dimension. That's been a bit of a challenge, trying to find someone in these kind of austere times. I thought it'd be quite easy. It would come along and as part of the sessions that we do within the park, we'd do something around raising awareness of healthy living, particularly with kids. Someone did it at the launch event. I can't remember the organisation he was from. It was great. You just tell kids about how many spoonfuls of sugar there are in a Lucozade or a ginger beer, sports drinks that do not help you play sport better, despite the fact Usain Bolt kind of advertises them. And when I told my kids about that, they just absorbed that information. I thought, what a great thing to do. But it's not proved that easy to find someone who actually come along, take a weekend, and use what we're doing as a vehicle for getting their messages across. So hopefully that will improve. The 4 target groups, we've had, talked to someone about this earlier, young people, people with mental health issues, people with physical health issues. I can't remember the 4th one. It'll come back to me. I was never reached them, did we? But the first one, the children, easy, absolutely. You work through the schools, you've got a captive audience, and if you look at the primary school kids, which is one of the groups, and I do a lot of sessions with school councils. It's like, if you're having a bad day, go and meet a school council. You get 2 reps from each year. They just got no baggage, have they? Everything's just full of enthusiasm and ideas and stuff. So they're brilliant. And then through the schools, you can get a flyer in the book bags. And what makes it so easy to get kids involved in the activities? Probably 2 things. One is at that age, 5 to 11, they go where the parents tell them. Teenagers, that's a different story. But also, it's not only that, but it's effectively free childcare. Because we're delivering these activities for free for the parents, which is great. It gives them a couple of hours off to go and do a bit of shopping or tidy the house. So it's kind of win-win-win, really. The other target groups, I was talking to someone who works with people with mental health issues before. Again, that's not easy. It's kind of resource intensive. It's harder than I thought. I was working with their trust in Halifax, a mental health trust, and I thought they'd be a bit more helpful than they were actually. He said it's just very difficult because almost by definition those people aren't going to think, oh great, there's a volleyball tournament in the park, let's pop down to that. They're going to need a lot more encouragement and a lot more support. And where does the funding and the time for that come in? So that's something we need to work on. There are people out there who are working with that client group, if you like. We just need to, it's back to this theme about we need to talk to each other a bit more, have some kind of forums for really sharing what we're doing. I mentioned the funding, where the funding's come from, CCG for the first one, lottery for the second one. We've had a few figures already today, but they're just horrendous, aren't they? And you can see they're only going one way, aren't they? That 25% of adults in the piece is forecast to be double that by 2050. The cost, just look at the guy who's talking today, wasn't it? What's the guy's name? About the economy? Bruce, wasn't it? And the figures all seem to vary so much, and it's quite hard, isn't it? Because I saw that the cost of inactivity mentioned is 8.2 billion, and also was 1 billion. I thought, I'm no mathematician, but 7 billion is quite a lot, isn't it? And it turns out that 1 billion is the direct costs of inactivity. 8.2 billion takes in lots of other costs as well. But the last one there, I think, just shows that, as we were saying before, that whilst the problems are huge, they can be addressed. Heart disease, halved in men who walk 1.5 miles a day. If we can't organise that, for people, I think that is going on. I know that Leeds have a guided walks programme in other parts of West Yorkshire and across the country, I'm sure, as well. But there should be more of it. And the more I see about walking, it just seems to be the kind of, the new sort of health pill, really. Has such an impact on people who are, seriously kind of inactive. There were the activities that we ran, if you can see that. So it's in response to the consultation that we did. So we had Zumba, that was very popular with women. The old-time dancing was for people with dementia. We had a summer holiday sports club for the kids from the primary school, so that was 2.5 hours on a Thursday afternoon. That was great, 25 kids. We'd have 4 stations, so they do football, rugby, tennis, and then the 4th station to sit down with someone, and she was there, who would subtly and entertainingly talk a bit about kind of healthy lifestyles, and it gives them a break as well. So we're definitely going to run that one this summer in Normanton. The cycling day, very, very popular when the first time we did it, because the weather was really good. You are weather dependent to a large extent with all this stuff in parks. The second time we did it, it was a grey day and it started raining, and it was, people kind of drifted away. The health day, the Teddy Dare's picnic and family fun day, glorious day. Park was absolutely packed, and it was great because the People's Park is right on the edge of for want of a better term, an Asian area. And in Halifax, I think it's probably true. People, I don't think we're put to task for this, but a lot of facilities are seen either as for the white community or the Asian community, and that's very much seen as for the Asian community. Hence, it doesn't get all the use it could and should. But that brought people from all kind of cultures together, and it was really nice. So it was that someone talked about tackling social cohesion with these interventions, and we've certainly managed a bit of that in a small way. So we've done some more consultation for the follow-up project in the Hall Hill Park in Normanton, and there's some other activities we're going to do. Again, talking about social cohesion, the volleyball, the Polish community are going to run the volleyball. They love volleyball, they've got all the volleyball, and they're really keen, you know, to deliver that. Because apart from the health benefits, it's just a great way of getting those two, because they don't do a lot of integrating, it seems to me. The mini Olympics will be delivered through the school. Again, you know, that's something they will organise. They've got access to all those kids and all those parents, so that should be relatively straightforward. And the only other one I mentioned there, we did this last week, orienteering, and what a fantastic activity that is. We did it in last Monday, and it was a kind of it was a footnote to the People's Park project in the school there, St Mary's Catholic School, primary school. The key 2 manager, key stage 2 manager, had been away while we did it, so she missed it. She wanted to do something with the school, so well, great, you know, there's no funding left, but hey, I'll just do something anyway. And she said, how about orienteering, on the basis that will appeal to people who don't necessarily like sport or put off by competition, and it's going to involve a fair bit of exercise. And I thought, in theory, that's a great idea. It really is. So we did it last Monday, and in practice, it's even better. She bought three classes from her school, year 5s, year 3s, year 1s, and it absolutely poured down. It's been all morning. And did they care? Did they not? They did the orienteering. They're running around, getting you know, they're absolutely worn out, loving the whole experience, getting loads of exercise without even realising it. Over 100 kids. I'm trying to get the council to take that on and support it a bit. Well, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not something they've kind of thought of first. I can probably be a little bit cynical. I just think if we can't do that, something as simple as that, the session, if I had to pay for the map, a lot of parks are already mapped anyway, that's 150 quid for the guy to come along. The school provided their time, I provided my time for free. Those things, that's low-hanging fruit, isn't it, really? But so, possible impacts and measures, that's what we'll be looking to. I think most people are, aren't they? To improve health and well-being and the savings to society. But also getting more people into the parks. I mean, that was important in People's Parks. It's a lovely park, but it's not being that well used because it's just not, as I said before, it's just not being perceived as a real community facility. That's what we're looking to measure. The tools that we use, I mean, really basic, because we didn't get the funding that we'd asked for. It was quite a lot less. We didn't get much past the kind of pre and post participation surveys. That, to be honest, was a bit hit and miss, because you realise the reality of actually delivering something on a blowy, rainy morning maybe. Your priority is not getting people to fill the forms in, is it? It's actually just making sure that you haven't lost any children, you know, or everyone knows where they should be. We kind of realised the lesson from that is really it's got to be someone's job. Their sole job has got to be collecting the data, you know, from the people who are participating before and after. And we've learned that, and also that the way of doing that is to use volunteers. We've got some volunteers from Leeds University who are going to help us with that this time. Other things we're looking at doing is having a local primary school as a case study. So doing, you know, quite a lot of work with them, and they would be a key partner. And we'd look to measure in different ways, you know, with the what do you call them, tracky, steppy things. Sorry?
Pedometer.
That's the one, pedometer. Yeah, strappy, steppy thing, otherwise known as pedometer. So that would be one way of doing it. Case studies of individuals. So people who are going to take part in a lot of activities, track their kind of progress, the impact on them. But how much, you know, can you really, how much can you actually measure and demonstrate? You know, you can, with the resources that you've got, unless you've got someone full-time whose job it is, and maybe to follow up for people, you know, 3 months, 6 months, a year down the line, are you still engaged in healthy activities? It's not easy, you know, and we got £10,000 to do that project. You can't be spending £20,000 evaluating it. So I think there's some issues there around keeping it kind of realistic and manageable. The challenges, the funding I mentioned. Priorities, skills. You know, we haven't. I'm not a researcher. Having the tools, we're starting everything from scratch. Back to what I was saying before. Why isn't there a pack? You know, we could start off with here's the generic questionnaire for when you're running kind of activities or projects in green, well, any space, certainly in the green space. and maybe you could adapt that as opposed to starting from the beginning. And lack of baseline data. You know, authorities don't have baseline data. You know, that's very localised around what their what their activity rates are, amongst certain parts of the population. Certainly in Calderdale, that they was working towards that, but they seem to be quite a long way off still. They still would not know just, you know, what those rates are for different cohorts. Without that, you know, it's quite difficult as well. Other challenges are about managing delivery, reaching the target groups, cuts, you know, and also it's always at any project now, isn't it? You know, it could almost be used as an excuse. People can always say council, no funding, you know, and it's hard to get buy-in at times. And then sustainability. How do you actually? We've run these with 2 grants. How do we sustain people's, you know, interest in those activities without more funding? I have to blag that one, but I'm not sure really. It's not easy, is it? So another one that you've got an example there, I think, of Birmingham Active Parks. Anyone heard of this one? It's funny, isn't it? Because I hadn't heard of it, and it sounds like what they're doing is what we've done in Halifax and they're doing it in Normanton, but on a bigger scale, much bigger scale. Anyways, I didn't know anything about them. They probably didn't know anything about us. So it's back to this kind of lack of. It's hard, isn't it, to keep track of what's going on, but they're doing something very, very similar. They piloted this HLP Activity Programme. It's now in 60 parks. Got funding from Public Health, from Coca-Cola. A bit controversial, isn't it? Really? Create the problem and try and solve it. Aiming to get people active, and it's based on. If you get a chance to look at the summary yourself on interest and need. I didn't see too much evidence of a lot of consultation, but it might be as much about need as it is about demand. They're the activities that they're running across these parks. I don't know what green fit baby is. No? I don't know. I'll ask them about that. Green fit. There's a green project, isn't it? They turn the babies green as well. That's a good idea. I'm worried about that one. But that's what they're doing across these parks, and the evaluation. So I've asked them about the evaluation. They use mystery shoppers. That's an interesting one. Someone pops along, you know, pretends to be a participant, and then make sure everything's going as it should be. Interestingly, they also evaluate the park experience as well. Ask people what they thought about the park and how good that was for how well that fitted with their expectations. They have annual evaluation events. Interesting, they do spend a lot of resources on profiling the people who are participating, and they use something called Kinetic Insight Pro tablet, which means nothing to me. But it seems that's what they use to actually, so they can see at a glance now. You could find out how many 5 to 11-year-olds took part in a certain activity on a certain day, and they had to do that because that was one of the requirements of the funders, that they hit certain target groups. And they were age groups. I think it was 5 to 11s and one was over 60s. So they had to. It was interesting that was a funder who did put a little bit of pressure on the deliverer to come up with some evaluation methods. And the challenge is they're a bit similar to what we face, probably not on a bigger scale. Staffing, data collection, getting all that in, marketing, balancing the needs of the funder and the provider. The funder wants this doing, the provider wants to do something else. The marketing, it just comes up as that's a recurring theme. That no matter how extensively you market it, and they did spend a lot of resource on marketing, social media, conventional media, but still the majority of people who were asked said that it needed to be better, and they'd almost found out about it by kind of accident. So I think there's a real issue there about if you could only just raise awareness of what's already going on, that would be almost as good as putting new things on, because a lot of people just even if it's across the road, just don't seem to know about it. Outdoor gyms. You must have heard of outdoor gyms. So you know what I'm talking about there, the one, how do you describe them really? Adult playgrounds, someone described them as, one of the funders, pieces of gym equipment in a park setting. And they are fairly ubiquitous. You know, there's 500 plus now across the country. Have you all seen them? Have you ever seen anyone using them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ours is constantly used.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use them in our
All the
park.
time.
Do you?
Yeah.
How's that? Plenty different, isn't it, yeah? Yeah.
Cultural involvement, very popular.
Yeah.
We use them
Women,
for parks.
ethnic minorities, oh yeah.
Can you prove it?
Yes.
Well, we've seen them, so
I'll take
yeah.
you to sites and show you.
Ah, you see, that's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you had like better ways of measuring that and capturing that impact, then
Just rock up to the site, that's the way you evaluate it.
Right.
And if they're on it, they're on it. If they're not, it's a failure.
if your funders in London, they're probably not going to walk out to your sign either. That's the thing. But if there was ways of actually measuring, that's just an example, isn't it? Of because there might, the ones I've seen, I've never seen anyone use them as pieces of gym equipment. You do, yeah?
Yeah.
You think so, isn't there?
Yeah, ours is just in constant use all the time. There's about 9 pieces there. But
I'm going to mystery shop these ones.
The thing that
Mystery shop and
the thing that surprised us with it was that
Yeah.
it meant for adult outdoor exercise to start with. We put a sign up saying, it's not play equipment, kids, it's not really for kids. But what we find is kids do use it, they use it responsibly, and I'm guessing now, because we haven't evaluated it, it's probably the first structured exercise these kids have had in their life, and hopefully it'll set them on the right track.
Right.
It took me by surprise, that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It depends where they are, though, isn't it? Because I'm with you on this, I often pass them. And never see anyone.
I've honestly never seen a person use them. Not as a gym.
Yeah.
Kids just play equipment. Roundhay Park's got one now, have you seen it?
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't new there. It's that play area just near the cricket pavilion.
It is very dependent on what you say, but if you're being led by say friends or funding, this is what you get, this is where you put it, you can go to.
Right,
So
that's it.
you've got to pick your sites
Right.
and pick your demographic as well.
Right.
In a park right near me, there was kids' play equipment, and then at the other end of the park, it's visible, but it's maybe 2 minutes walking distance. They've just put that gym equipment, and I thought that was such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Because if you put it right next to a kid's playground,
Parents and kids can do
Parents
it.
can
Regulations
stand on the
against
bench.
doing that. You're not
Really?
supposed to do it.
But then you see parents
We've
sitting
got
on a
them,
bench,
yeah.
could go on the play on
We've
the
got them
other
listed
equipment.
and that's
Can't do
deemed
it,
to
then it's
close.
insured.
There's regulations about it, so.
Right. So the one in Leeds, so it actually says, it says that it is for use by older children, I think it might say teenagers, and adults. It's not for use, it specifically excludes children. And the only people using it are children.
They're not built for children, it's not the joints and everything aren't.
They've been used as a play area.
Yeah, they're not up to
We
it.
used
They
to
put
put
them in
them in.
schools and they're specifically developed for children, but the outdoor gym ones are for teenagers and adults.
Right.
An edict from the insurance service has to stop.
Is it?
We won't insure you anymore.
If children,
If we
you're
don't warn
putting,
against
if you're
children,
putting gym equipment in near or adjacent to a play area, that's the end of your insurance.
Is it?
You should be encouraging children onto adult sports
they
equipment.
can get injured, sorry, so.
I was thinking, because the one in Roundhay Park is probably as far away as it possibly could be from the 2 play areas.
That's what
One at the bottom of the park and one at the top. That's why, isn't it? Sorry, Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a very quick thing. It has I've seen I lived in Stockholm for 3 years, and
Stockholm, yeah.
and I think the design of these green gyms is I think can be maybe play a big part because they do. If you the ones you have in different cities in the UK, I don't know. I mean, the ones you have in Sweden, you can properly work out with them.
Can you adjust them? You can't adjust them around
No,
here,
but
can
you have a choice.
You can some of them.
You
Can
have
you?
a choice.
Yeah, they're up to
Alright.
shows, aren't they?
Really?
You can get decent
You
stuff.
can get better
You
stuff.
can- You can
Can you?
genuinely have resistance. So.
Mm.
Right.
You can get cheap crap for about 20 grand. There's no
They're
resistance.
I put 40k up there. That's the
That's
figure
about
came
how you
about
get
40K.
resistance. So.
Yeah,
Right.
great outdoor gym.
I've got 3 or 4 evaluations that have been done of these based on nudge theory. Apparently, when they first came in, very big in the Cameron government. Apparently, no, it was actually the notion that you just give people a little bit of encouragement, then they will actually do something they actually inherently want to do, which is exercise. So there's been a few evaluations done. Most of them, I think, are down south. There's a miss some. Camden, spelt wrong, Brent, and one in Liverpool. But the 2 in London they're quite big evaluations. They've got 870 participants in the Brent one, which is that's a lot, isn't it? The tools that they've used, and almost all the evaluations that I've looked at, it's been surveys, predominantly surveys, has been, in some cases, the sole tool. A little bit of focus group and phone interview in Liverpool, but the very small numbers. Interestingly, it didn't seem to be a funding requirement that they did any of this. Whether they got the money from, they were insisting this. It was something they thought that they should be doing anyway. The problem with London, any examples in London, I always think, well, would it work in this country? It's so kind of atypical, isn't it? Like the ones in London, the average distance travelled was 800 metres. Yeah, well, you're not going to get that, are you, in Caldervale, in the upper Calder Valley. People are going to be travelling a lot further. But they get quite a cross section of the population, and got very positive responses. I guess you're probably going to get that, aren't you? Almost by definition, someone who's using the equipment is going to be pretty positive about it, otherwise they wouldn't be using it. This is me, I'd actually be moaning they didn't have something on it, but other people probably, and they were, they felt fitter, they felt more confident, they liked being outdoors. Green gyms, there's one more thing on this then. What was I going to say about the outdoor gym findings? I don't know what it was now. Oh yeah, so that was it. It comes up a thing on the challenges that apparently they weren't able to do sample surveys because they couldn't do it on green gyms. We'll get onto that because they weren't allowed to share the data. People had to sign up to go on a green gym, and they couldn't share that data, so you couldn't do a sample survey. And I don't think they do or they can do sample surveys with outdoor gyms. What I mean is you could just maybe pick 1 in 5 of the population within a 10-minute walk of the site and see what they think. All we're getting, I know it's good to some extent, is the perceptions of people who actually use them. We don't know why people don't use them or wouldn't use them. And but yeah, you can't. They're literally doing something. Green gyms, I think, get mixed up with it with the outdoor gyms. You familiar with the concept of green gyms? So the Trust Conservation Volunteers, or BTCV, as I think they were before, have been behind a lot of these. So as opposed to an outdoor gym, this is about the more kind of people working on the environment, horticultural allotment type stuff. That volunteers sign up to the scheme. There's some of the evaluation there, and they do these activities, environmental kind of improvement activities. And again, it surprised me. It's a big growth area. We've got over 100 at the moment. We're heading for 600. A number of evaluations, I mentioned 1 or 2 now, have been done. I looked at 2. I thought it was interesting that I saw 2 figures. One was actually by BTCV done in 2007. One was by TCV done in the 2016 evaluation. And one said the social return on investment was just over £4, and another one said the social return was just over £1. So that's a big difference. And I am inclined to take those figures with a bit of a pinch of salt. I have no idea how they calculate. Some of the figures that I mentioned this morning, how on earth did they come up with that kind of figure? I don't know whether it's enough. The funders are convinced by it. Is that enough?
What's the most chronic thing there?
Sorry?
What do you mean by most chronic? What's that mean?
Most people who use the green gyms have got chronic conditions, chronic or long-term conditions. So they're not. It's not a random sample of population. It's not solely people with physical or mental health issues, but it's mostly, apparently. So again, the main evaluation tool was surveys. I think a limited number of. They did interviews with the partner organisations. That's what they've done with the green gym evaluations. So talking to councils and partner organisations. In the first one, it was 92. I mean, it's quite a small sample. 92 people, completed a survey. There was 80 in the follow-up. And this is people seem to be looking to try and track progress over time or see to what extent the benefits have been sustained. But the evaluation seemed to kind of peter out a bit. I can imagine that in the real world, you kind of move on, don't you? The resources, the money's gone, and you got other priorities. So it doesn't seem to be a lot. It would be very expensive and time-consuming. They've really sort of long-term, longitudinal stuff. Like they're doing in Bradford. They're born in Bradford, but that's costing a lot of money. The main reason people wanted to do it, it was fitness, doing good for the environment, but the main reason is for participation. So that was a fairly common theme. I mentioned you can't take the random samples, and the people who you see in the summary said that was the main kind of thing they'd look to address, they'd like to be addressed, so they could do that and get maybe a more representative response. Control groups, apparently, they think would be unethical. I think it's because it means stopping people from participating in order to compare the impact on their health, or looking at another group who weren't participating in these green team activities and comparing the effects on their health then over a period of time compared to those who are. You can imagine the amount of time and resource that would. It'd be great, wouldn't it, if you could do that? And that's probably the only way you're going to get a really, really clear idea as to what medium, longer term impact it's had, and to what extent it's down to the project. Because without knowing what the measurements are, people who weren't party to the activity, you don't quite know, do you? So all the time it kind of occurring to me that there's such a lot you probably need to be doing in order to do a really rigorous evaluation. But have we got the resources? Have we got the time? And there's that cost benefit thing that someone mentioned this morning. The benefits of doing the evaluation compared to, we've got to think about those as well in a time of austerity. And they mentioned this need to use standardised indicators that Public Health England and NHS would kind of recognise. And I do think that's something that shouldn't be kind of beyond us. If you could come up with some kind of set of, because they're broadly looking at the same things, but they're doing them separately in isolation each time. That was the 203. That was done over 4 years, so that's obviously they've spent a lot of time and money on that one. 703 participants. They did the continuation surveys. Over 52 projects. I got the outcomes of that one. The tools they used there. Again, it's surveys. Even the big, extensive evaluation like that, it's almost solely surveys that are used. And again, it would be surveys of people who were, obviously, participating. And as you probably expect, there's significant benefits in terms of health, confidence, skill levels. But they wanted to use sample surveys in the future. So just overall, the kind of the gaps that occurred to me in terms of sorry, ready to come in now? Oh, last 2 minutes then. That's okay. That's the last slide now. We won't do the workshop stuff. So the gaps that occurred to me were, what about those who didn't participate? All those surveys that looked at people who participated in something. We've got no idea about why people didn't. The impacts on health and well-being has not been quantified. Random surveys, as I said before, has been a challenge. How could these benefits be sustained? And that's clearly a tricky one. What are these evaluations cost? Would that money be available even now? Very little drawing on previous research. Every single one of these projects started from scratch. The first were the evaluations that had been done in a list, but they started and used their own tools and used their own methodologies, which just seems to me like probably not the most effective way of doing things. And lastly, before we leave, is there anything in it for the park? Because when we did our Healthy Living Park project, the idea is that there were the benefits for the park as well as the health of the people. But unless you can find ways of maybe charging, there was the controversy over park runs, whether they should pay to use the park. Unless you can find a way, maybe of incorporating that, how is a park actually going to benefit, certainly on a financial level, from all this activity that's going on? Because at the moment, no one's paying the park to actually be using it. Whether that would be a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. Okay, so it was a bit of a rush, but we started a bit late, so there's another organisation called Beckett, which is a food company. They basically do lots of health cooking programmes, mainly who are further down tier 1 users. So what we're doing is these men's health managers basically train volunteers to support manual leaching practices to come into this really kind of informal health. It's not health. No,
lounge, basically where you can come and chat to all the members.